The Hubble sphere literally generates a repulsive push force that in turn creates motion and mobility amongst the galaxies, forming and generating the energy into a vacuum field energy force. This generated energy based on celestials' positively charged mass energy due to the constant Hubble anomaly is what generates a negativity charged field into a negative Alcubierre warp space field. An undetectable energy by all means that generates flow between all the celestials large and small throughout the cosmos. This Alcubierre energy is still an undetectable source of negativity flowing energy forming a faster-than-light field path between the stars. It's not that physicists' Alcubierre warp has to exist as an experimental field that acts as a shell creating a negative flow of energy when it is already built and the repulsive push the Hubble sphere puts on the space vacuum. Imagine the galaxies and all the planets inside these galaxies generating a negative space field that surrounds them, a literal ground force we can observe in electromagnetism. As the celestial bodies are put into motion by expanse where between these bodies parallel resistance occurs because they are similar positive mass, the space between them has no choice but generate a negative flow of space. Rodney Kavetsky has redesigned the Alcubierre warp drive into the interaction of a space field negativity charged vacuum gravity field. Even though idea is generated by Miguel Alcubierre warp drive theory, Rodney Kavetsky has developed it to be the energy source for the empty space field with the potential charge being generated by the expanse of the Hubble sphere, as the galaxy's orbit caused by the Hubble pushing on the space field. It is enough to explain the negative charge it causes to the space field.
My name is Rod Kowicki. I made a finite discovery. I'm a writer of theoretical physics. Theoretical physics is not proven to be true. But a lot of theories have a floor mat mathematically or from evidence that has already been defined to be our analogy and literature of textbooks physics. Now, I used to be a great I like to watch sci-fi. Star Trek, Star Wars. Star Trek is more literal. To me, it was amazing. But I started writing physics, and I made a few discoveries, or what I thought to be discoveries. Now, like I said, theoretical physics has a foundation. That foundation is to be weighed with mathematical equations, mathematical sums that come out to be factual. And that's what I've done with my theory. But I neglected one thing: sci-fi. Sci-fi, to me, is a story about physics, space travel, whatever it is, time travel in the future. It's exaggerated facts of theoretical physics. And I didn't realize this. The conclusions I made, like I'm studying faster than light speed space travel, which in sci-fi, science fiction, is the way they go, you know. In Star Trek, it was the way they go. It was the frontier. But we're not there yet, and we won't be there for quite some time. Our physics literature may establish a floor mat or foundation, right? But right now we're in AI. AI is pretty good, but it only increases your thoughts about the script you put into it. It's like unlimited, but it's limited information, and it calculates what you're asking. But in any event, I overlooked that sci-fi. But my findings are concrete. Now, I went into some research and I found out that what I'm writing out is unknown. And that's the distinction of creating some kind of discovery about things. But it has mathematical equations that are founded to be factual. And that's where I'm going with this. Right now, I'm in what sci-fi is a literal day, is a new theory on fast light space travel, how it can be created in a theoretical idea. Now, without going into too much detail, I've already created theoretical ideas. I don't want to say nothing about the foundation of the economical community system and the way it works, but we are here, you know. The techniques we use are still like 2,000 years old, 1,000 years old. And a politician does not know what's happening in small places, let's say. But science fiction, Erwin Hubble, I guess that's his name, not Erwin Hubble, the guy that created Scientology. I've read a little bit about Scientology too, but that's more conscious thinking, an idea based on biological human anatomy and brain waves and that type of science. But it's also his books that he's written are sci-fi. They're literal ideas that are established to be factual, but are not in the textbooks. That's where I'm going with this. They're not in the university textbooks. They're in the sci-fi section. They didn't do the physical, theologic research, finding the equations and mathematical formulas that prove this to be factual, but it's also based on what we already know. You know, I write a book on physics. I have to study Einstein. I have to study relativity. I have to study Newton. I have to Michael Alcubray, warp drive. And kind of like how it's done. My books aren't, I don't believe them to be sci-fi or even theoretical if they're based on factual basis, the science that we already know, you know. But it's like, what's his name? Elon Musk. For some reason, he made money. He's now the richest single man in the world. And he's making rockets. Now, NASA has been making rockets for quite a while. But they stay out of the public notice, you know, the public eye. Elon Musk makes these rockets that the information he uses is based on today's technology. The world's going to be a lot different, but the changes that take place take a lot of years. Maybe every 100 years a new great discovery will happen and change things. Right now it's computer technology. AI is being established, and in 100 years everything will be done with computer technology and AI technology. Paperwork will be be put in a closet. It won't be there no more. That's where we're going in right now. But we are barely integrating with the technology we have, and the community accepting that. Kids are getting smarter. They use computers. They email their work. Everything's being done on computers. We are in a new era, which only began maybe 25 years ago. So in 75 years, there's going to be great change. Somebody's going to invent something that literally changes the world. Now, I'm not saying that computers was slowly immigrated in the technology, and that's the way it has to flow. It has to flow into the economical system, community, people, be affordable. I remember when a laptop was $2,000, and it was just a plain laptop. It barely had 10 gigs in it, if it had that. Everything was in software. You bought it in a box in the store. It was on a CD or a DVD. Now, you buy movies over the internet. And so it's a big change. And the people that lived through that era, the people that are, let's say, growing old, they're from a different era. They're not that 10-year-old kid that's using a computer in class. They're that kid in class 60 years, 80 years ago that was getting yelled at because he was making paper airplanes. You know? And I think China is a good example of how things might venture in other societies in the future, depending on the type of technology that's going to be immigrated in our systems, our country systems. My books are on physics. Faster light speeds travel. Now, I just want to say something. You know, they're making warp drive type engines and stuff, make them go faster for jets and possibly rockets and spacecraft type things. But to travel at the speed of light, you are going to have a ship probably as big as Los Angeles to have the mechanics to travel even at the speed of light. And that's why I support the idea that the moon is the closest as well as best place to venture in our establishment on a new planet. You know, it's like, I think that even though things might be manufactured here on Earth, they might be put together more on the moon. I mean, where are you going to put build a spaceship that has the ability to travel beyond light speed? Of course, you can look at the smaller ships that may be as big as a city block, or not even a city block, but a regular block of houses, you know. And I think they're leaning more on that for engines to have the ability to travel very fast and be able to get into space. But that's sci-fi. We've seen it there. People know that this is our frontier as a planet to study and explore other planets and galaxies. And I forgot all this when I was doing all this studying. I've been doing a lot of studying on this stuff. And in the conclusion is where everything comes together. You know, I've written like 10 books. They explain literally what I'm talking about, but I've come to a point to where everything comes to a head and it's more easier to understand. And I'm putting out videos, so I just like to let you know where I'm coming from. Remember, everything put in a computer and presented to the public is copyrighted. It belongs to you. But other people are allowed to use it because it's in public domain. You know, it's like a textbook. What good's a textbook with information if nobody else can read it, you know? So, anyways, I wanted to put out there something I just come to mind, you know. My name is Rod Kowicki. Thank you.